G'day folks, I'm Andy. Well, today I'm going to show you a really effective rig. This is going the extra mile with your traditional running sinker rig. It could be the difference between catching that fish of a lifetime or pinning that trophy fish. And I've started using it and the hookup rate's incredible. I've caught some really nice fish. So let me take you through it. We're going to start off with all the things you need for this particular rig. So firstly, you need your line, or I like to call this whippersnipper cord because it's fluoro yellow, and that's just so you can see it. Secondly, a packet of hooks, and then a treble on the end. That's what makes the difference. Also, we've got a couple of rubber beads right here, and then you've got your sinker. That weight will obviously vary depending on where you're fishing. A rubber band and your trusty cutters. So you've got everything that you need, and the first thing is to figure out how long the lead is going to be. So I'm going to make it a lot shorter because I'm just demonstrating this particular rig. Obviously if you need longer, simply make it longer. First thing is get your hook out, and like I said, there can be some variation. You might choose to use a different style of hook, different color. That's completely fine. If you've been enjoying these how-to vids, let me know in the comments. Also, give us one of these, show some love, and smash that sub button. That'll just let me know what kinds of videos I need to be putting up. All right, let's get stuck into it. So first step, you've got your leader here of whatever length that might be, 50, 60, 80 centimeters, a meter. And all we're going to do is we're going to tie a loop knot. So that's the same knot that you'll use when tying on a jig head for a soft plastic. So we're just going to do like a granny knot like that, but we're not going to pull it super tight, not yet. Okay, now you want to slide that hook on, put the line through the eye just like that. Okay, so that's just sitting free there. Now we're going to put that line through that circle. Practice that a few times if you've never done this before. That's all you're doing. You're just holding it like so. Now, you want to pull that circle up close to the hook. Really simple. Now, we're going to turn this short bit of line around 3 to 4 times. I'll just do it 3 for now. And then you place the end of it straight through that circle. That's it. That's all you do. Now, the next part's important. Make sure you wet your line so that minimizes heat and friction, and it makes it easier to pull that knot down. Now the next thing is, this is a habit of mine, whether it's right or wrong, I just place that end of the line in my mouth and I'll pull it all tight. That's it. There's your loop knot. Now if you watched carefully, I had my finger around that hook and I had it facing away from my mouth, because if you slip, you'll end up with a hook in your face. That can't be good. Now once we've done that, we're just going to cut that off. As you can see, that hook is moving around freely. I think personally that increases your hookup rates, but everyone will have an opinion on that. Now part B is really important. This is when you put your treble on. Now let's assume that this leader is 50 pound, just for argument's sake. What you want to do is when you choose a line to tie your treble on, you want to make it about half of that. So if that's 50, this will be 25. So you just grab a different spool of line, make it around about half to 2/3 of the strength. And the reason why is if this treble gets snagged up in anything, that'll break off of this and you don't lose your whole rig. So that's a really important thing to do. So I'm going to use the same line, but let's assume that it's half the strength. Now all we do just cut it off. Now what we're going to do next is tie a uni knot around your hook. Okay, so I'm just going to put it through like that. I'm going to turn that around on itself and then go through 3 times. Pull on the tag end, grab your hook, hold it nice and tight so nothing goes wrong. There's a uni knot. I've just secured that. Now you can cut that up nice and close. That's no problem at all. And then we need to tie on the treble. So the length of this here to the treble will really depend on the kind of baits you're using. So whether you've got big liveys, obviously the distance needs to be a little bit further. There is a way to adjust it though, and I'll show you that in a minute. If you're using strip baits or essentially fillets, and the fillets are yay long or maybe they're short, you can adjust it accordingly. So I'm going to be using a mullet strip just to show you guys, so hang around for that because I'll show you what it actually looks like when it's all together. I'm going to cut it up about there. Now, same thing, a uni knot. I'm going to tie that on, put it through a couple of times. Remember the treble's more of a, just sort of a support than anything else. Okay. I'll just chomp that down. Just cut off the tag end there. So there you go, that's your supporting treble there that's hanging off the end of that hook, and then the hook's hanging off the loop knot, so that everything's nice and free. It moves around, and personally I reckon it increases the hookup rate. The next step is putting your sinker on. The advantage of having a loop knot there is you've got a little bit of distance from your sinker to your hook, so it's not actually sitting on the hook. But if you do want to extend that distance and make that sinker sit further away from your hook, because sometimes the sinkers get in the way and you can miss bites, this is where the rubber band comes in. So all we do, cut your rubber band. We'll just say, we'll put it a few inches away, wrap it around your line, and then just tie a granny knot. So you can see I've wrapped it around a couple of times, and we're just going to tie a granny knot. There you go, and just cut the ends off. There's one. And there's two. So you can see there's a little bit of distance there where the rubber band is to the actual hook. So next step is I like to put one of these on, these little rubber beads. Not so needed for the sinker to the rubber band, but I just like that little bit extra security. Put your sinker on. Obviously the size of it will vary depending on the current, and put your next bead on. So there you go, done and dusted. So that's perfect. So you can see that the sinker's not going to sit down anywhere near that hook. So when it's in the current, it's going to waft around nicely. Everything's nice and loose with that loop knot, and then you've got the extra security there on the end. And of course you can attach this end using a swivel or an FG knot or whatever your favorite knot might be to your braid or your mono or fluorocarbon or whatever you might be using. So that stinger rig's done and ready to go. So let's put a strip of mullet on it and see what it looks like. So you've got your mullet fillet ready to go, or perhaps it could be a chicken breast fillet. They all work on jacks and cod and other species. This rig will also work on liveys or dead whole fish. All you need to do is just place this hook up under its jaw, out through the nose, and then pin one of these trebles around the stomach area just for that extra security. So this rig is really diverse. You can use it for a whole range of purposes, but just for today, we're going to focus on this mullet fillet here. So you can cut this how you like. I prefer bigger pieces because when the pickers do feed on this, they actually create a burley trail. So if you do get a lot of brim in the area where you're catching jacks, that's fine. Put a bigger piece on because they'll pick away at that, and eventually the jack will come in and snatch it from the pickers. And that's exactly what's happened on multiple occasions when I'm using this rig. And just a quick one, most of the fish I'm hooking on the main hook, and then on about 3 or 4 out of 10 fish, this is what saved me. So that was the extra security I needed. That was just sitting just in the jaw, but this here was sitting in the fish, on the side of the fish, and I didn't lose any. Did I get any break-offs? Well, I did get this caught up once. It did its job, it broke off, and all I had to do was retie another one. I didn't lose the whole rig. So that's what this is really for. This is just for a little bit of extra security. Remember, you've got your sinker down here, so you don't have your hooks jammed in the rocks if you're fishing in gnarly areas. You've got your sinker sitting here, and then this is wafting up in the current above those snaggy areas, and the fish just pick it up and take off with it. So this has got multiple purposes: to minimize your snags, and also if you do happen to snag, which is pretty rare, because remember that your bait's off the bottom, it's not sitting on the bottom as it would if there was a sinker down here and jammed amongst all the oyster rocks and whatnot. It's also if you happen to get snagged, and I got snagged once out of about 10 fish, that breaks off and you just replace the end. So let's cut this. I'll usually do say 2 fillets out of this. So I'll just cut it like that, and then all you do is just poke it through the end like that. So you've got heaps of hook exposure. That's a really, really big thing. So you can see that. And all you need to do is just poke one of these hooks. I'm sure I'll do it easy on camera. I've had enough practice doing it on the boat. Just poke that hook through like that, so you can see there's the point of the treble hanging out right there, and that's easily going to waft around in the current and do its job. So that's pretty easy, and that's nice and flowing off that loop knot as well. You can put your treble down a little bit further if you like. This has worked out of about 10 fish, 1 snag, 1 break off on there, and about 4 of those fish I had that treble hooked up in the side of the fish. And I reckon that's what saved me on a couple of occasions where the main hook was just hanging on. If you found this video helpful, make sure you check out my other how-to vids, because it's coming up on your screen right now.